Friday morning, can't control it. Fired up and counting every minute. Hands are shaking, eyes are burning. The time has come, yeah, this is not a warning. The week was just so long, we had to let it go. Our problems disappeared, we're not tied up anymore. The weekend is here. Sunday calls, we are sick and tired of it. Up and down, can you feel it? Up and down.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Johansson show. It's Kat, and today got a special guest, probably one of the most funniest people on social media that I'm following at the moment, with the infamous memes, which we'll touch up on soon. Big T Justice. Like, thanks for coming on the show, man.
No, it's fine. You could just call me Big T. You could just call me T, actually. You could just call me T for sure.
That'll make it. I didn't want to use your shoot name, so I thought, right, I call him Big or Justice. Or...
yeah, you could just call me T.
How's it going, man?
Yes, I am alive and well. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. It's one that I've been wanting to do for a while. Like, just I think your positivity during such what's been a testing time for everybody, especially in the wrestling community.
Yeah,
You've still been with your memes. Like, my missus doesn't follow wrestling; she's not got a clue who you are. But I'm constantly like, look at this one. Well, I find them so entertaining. Like, how did you making these memes come about?
I mean, to be fair, like I enjoy memes like literally a lot. So I end up sharing like a lot of memes. Some of the memes I've shared, sometimes I feel as if like I'm being called out. When I look at some of the memes, I'm like, oh, they're talking about my life here. And then it got started, but it was on my birthday. I got a few messages from people on my birthday.
Yeah.
So like for the first time in a long time, my inbox was quite full. So I thought, oh, I'm getting a lot of some messages for my birthday, so I felt important. And then I saw like lots of pictures of cats, and I don't like cats. I think the world knows that. So I started seeing loads of messages with lots of cats. I'm like, okay, somebody's pulling a wool over my eyes. And then it turns out a few people came together and they said they're gonna send me pictures of cats because you know how much I don't like them. And then I made a meme of it. So the meme was like a screenshot of like my inbox being full, me smiling about it, thinking it's gonna be lots of things for my birthday. And then when I open it, it's a picture of a cat, and then there's like a sad face, me just having like not amused face, and then there's lots of reactions for it. So I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just make something of it. I'll just do it just for fun, just for entertainment. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I've kind of done it. So I try and do a meme every day. If I do end up missing a day, I'll try and do 2 the next day, like to make up for it and stuff. So it's just stuff that I kind of like think about, or stuff that I can just relate to, or stuff that I think other people can relate to as well.
What have been some of your favorites?
I think the birthday one was my favorite, so I got a huge reaction for that. One of my favorites was the one where it's a picture of me in my car, and I'm pretending like I'm talking to my partner next to me. I am actually single. I'm not actually in a relationship. But then I just pretended like I was sitting next to my partner, and then and I'm in the car saying, I need to pick a lane. And then my partner says, who the hell is Elaine? Thinking that I meant Elaine as in a woman called Elaine.
Yeah.
When I actually meant, no, I need to pick an actual lane on the road to go to and stuff. So I got a good reaction from that. There's been a few others. It's weird because like with the memes, there's always something that I can always make of it. There's always something that I can do to make of it, to turn it around. So yeah, still doing those until I can think of absolutely nothing. Until I can think of nothing, I'm like, oh, I can't think of anything. So I need to keep at it because it's been 2 months now, or just over 2 months. So I need to keep at it.
Yeah, we're all relying on you now.
Yeah, I know the pressure's on. I remember when I put a status saying no Big T memes tonight, people were commenting. I think they were just joking, saying no. He's like, we were relying on you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's for entertainment. It's for fun. You know what I mean? If it makes people laugh, I guess it's something.
I think it was the one where you're drinking the juice out of the carton, and it's showing that you've got a message. And a lot of it's your facial expressions, and then it's the XK, I miss you. And you're just doing the side eye.
I'm just rolling my eyes. Yeah, it's funny because it's like sometimes in general, like there's lots of things that I'm not amused by, And it's one of those, my friends always say it. They say to me, sometimes my friends, they'll be annoyed at something and you can't tell. I'm the exact opposite. So if I get annoyed at something, it's clear that I'm annoyed at it. And that because my facials aren't really subtle. So if I'm annoyed at something, people can tell. And people say, oh, you need to make sure people don't know that you're annoyed. I'm like, no, if I'm annoyed, I want people to know about it so they can stop annoying me. You know what I mean?
Can't imagine many people would want to annoy you. Like
a lot of people do.
So, like, memes aside, like, obviously here with your professional wrestling career and British wrestling, hopefully is going to change. I think there's going to be a lot of changes to be made. I know some people try and worm their way back in. Hopefully people will stand their authority and keep kicking them back out. But, like, how was it you'd got started in the beginning?
Well, been a wrestling fan for years and years. When I was younger, it's me and my mum. So she raised me. We lived in a couple of council flats. I only had channels when I used to live in London. We only had channels 1 to 5. So the only type of wrestling that I'd see for that time was on Channel 5. When I watched WCW on Friday nights, and then WWE, WWF at the time, Sunday Night Heat on Channel 4. And then we moved house, and then we got cable, so I got Sky One. So I was able to watch SmackDown on Saturday mornings, and then I got my fix of watching Raw on Livewire, at the time, then it turned into the Bottom Line. And then when they showed WWF Metal on Sundays, and then I sometimes went to my cousin's house. He had the full Sky package show. He had Sky Sports, Sky Box Office. So I'd go over to my cousins and we'd watch, Raw late on Monday, and then we watch SmackDown, and then some of the pay-per-views as well. And then it's not until 2014 that I say 2014, but 2013, Hardcore Holly came to the UK. He did the PCW tour with a few of the other imports, and then he was doing a seminar at PCW, and I thought, okay, here's my chance to try wrestling and see what it's like, whether I like it. So of course I did the beginners class because I had no experience in wrestling at all at the time, apart from like if I wrestled with my cousins, but that's different. So I tried it. We just did some stuff, beginner stuff, and I was like, you know what? I actually really enjoy it. It's a physical sport. I like it. So in 2014, I went to a unit called RWA in Blackburn, because when I was working in retail, one of my friends who does wrestling, he said, oh, this is where he trains. So went to a unit called RWA in Blackburn, trained with some people there. They're known as backyarders, but, they taught me some stuff. They never taught me crazy things, like jumping from the top rope to the outside or flipping from buildings. No, they just taught me, of course, the simple basic stuff. And then I went to Future Shock and an established school. Went to Future Shock for a little bit, and then trained at PCW as well afterwards at PCW Academy. And I've trained at different schools. And then I made my official debut in 2016, January 2016. And then just been wrestling ever since, being on shows.
How was it for you trying to be a beginner, but this Hardcore Holly there?
I mean, to be fair, with Hardcore Holly there, because he's been in the business for God knows how many, for that long. I think he definitely, with us as beginners, of course there was a bit of intimidate. We felt a bit intimidated. Well, I felt intimidating because I'd never met him before in person.
Huge jacked as well.
Exactly. And it's all about making a first impression. So I didn't want to make a bad impression or anything like that. But it was the opposite. We did the basics and stuff. He never had us do anything that was not of a beginner's level. But no, it went better than I expected.
Brilliant. Was that the tour where he faced Billy Gunn?
No, it wasn't that one. It was when, because during that time, it was back in November 2013. I remember at PCW, it was a super show. It was him, D'Lo Brown, Awesome Kong, Jushin Liger was there as well. And Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, they were there as well. So I think they did a PCW super show. And then I think they did Southside on the Sunday. So when he faced Billy Gunn, that's actually when he came back in 2016.
Yeah.
Him and actually Billy Gunn actually did a seminar with us at the PCW Academy, but no, the first time was back in 2013.
What was that like doing the academy where obviously hardcore Bob Holly, he's the person that was doing your beginners class, and now a couple
Yeah.
years later you're doing another seminar with him and
Yeah.
with Billy Gunn.
He actually remembered me
I
when he
mean,
saw me.
it'd be hard to forget you. He's 7 foot tall.
Yeah. It was good because he saw, of course, that I made developments, since he was happy with the fact that I stuck at it, because he said that he says if I continue to stick at it, I'll make something of myself at least in the business. So he was happy to see me saying, "Oh, I remember you," and stuff. And then he said he was happy with how I developed and stuff, and just said that just for me to continue training. But if it would be good, well, if things got better for him to at least come over again, because he's got a lot of knowledge to pass over. He's got a lot of knowledge that he can pass over to people.
This is where he'll rib you and he'll be like, "Hi, what's your name?" And you're gonna be like, "You're kidding me? You remembered me last time when I was just a rookie."
Yeah. No, it's one of those, like, it's like when people say, "What's your name?" I'll be like, I usually say, "We have met before." But it's always one of those where, like, if you're not used to seeing the same old faces constantly, because every day when you're walking around in general, you see different faces. If you don't see the same faces all the time, sometimes you meet somebody like weeks, months, or years later, and then it's like, oh, we have actually met before,
So it's always quite awkward, isn't it? I've had a few where they're like, "Hi, Kurt," and come running up and that, and I'm just like, "Hiya," like, or talk to somebody who's like, "Hi, my name's Kurt," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "Oh, you've changed over years." Drink over. I'm like, "Oh, no, just quickly go away." So, like, who do you like compliment for training you at the beginning? Then, like, in the UK.
I mean, I would say there's a few people. I would say, the RWL guys, because they're classed as backyarders, and sometimes backyarders get a rep, for doing some crazy things. And there's some stuff that I've seen some yarders. I think to myself, geez, that is really insane. But I went with a couple of them to shows.
Yeah.
I went with a couple of them to shows in the UK, so to PCW, GPW, and HXC when it was running at the time. So I definitely give those guys credit as well. I give credit to Dave Rain, of course, for his training as well. And then, of course, at the PCW, there's Joey Hayes, T-Bone, Ashton Smith. I know this might be a bit, it might not be the best. I know it's going to be seen as controversial, but I will say Bubblegum because, putting the stuff that's happened with him aside, training-wise, he is a good trainer and is knowledgeable of wrestling as well. And then, of course, when we've had, other wrestlers giving us feedback and taking sessions. So, Yeston Reese, Danny Hope. I'm just trying to think who else. We've had Tony Storm train us as well, which has been good. And other, various other veteran wrestlers who have given us like feedback and taken our training sessions as well.
Yeah. Do you sometimes find it hard to maybe relate to some of the trainers? Like you mentioned, Bubblegum helped you massively, but he's always used to working as that smaller person. Sometimes is it harder to maybe relate or pick something up from smaller trainers when, again, you're 7 feet tall?
Yeah. With trainers who are, not the same size as me, of course, it can be a bit challenging because they can't relate to your stature when it comes to your movement and how you just move around. But they do have some knowledge as well that they can pass on, because some of them have been in situations where they've probably maybe trained other people who are close to my size or face people that are close to my size as well. So it can be challenging. It can be challenging at times, but for the most part, it's never been too much. It's never been too much of an issue because there's still knowledge that they've been able to pass over to myself.
Yeah. So how was it when you was making your debut? Like, how did you find being in front of that audience?
Nervous. I was nervous as hell. I'm just trying to think of what my gear was as well when I when I debuted and my haircut. I'm looking back. I'm thinking back to it now because I remember seeing this the other time because it was at the PCW Academy when we made our proper wrestling debut. It was the first debut for like a lot of us as well. So there was loads of hype around it and stuff like that as well. So I remember I ordered my singlet months before, but I never needed to wear. I didn't have a chance to wear it because I didn't wrestle and stuff. But I remember the crotch area was tight. And I thought, oh great, this isn't going on. I remember I got my hair cut because I had a bit of a mohawk at the time. But I remember when I was getting my haircut done afterwards, I was thinking, oh, this is great. And then looking back, I was thinking, oh no, the haircut wasn't the best. And then I didn't have any knee pad covers. So what I used was in Pound World, you get like those bandage supporters. I put those over my knee pads as knee pad covers because I saw a picture and I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, what was I thinking? But overall, I say my debut match went really well. You know, it got a lot of praise. Of course, looking back to how I perform now and how I performed then and now, of course, I can tell. You know, of course, there is a difference. But no, it was good. It was definitely good. Definitely from a gear point of view, I've kind of like taken some tips.
You definitely need to try and find a picture of that.
Yeah, no, I have pictures. You just don't need to see any of those.
It's like when my job used to be working in football, so I'd coach and things like that. Some of the things that I'd seen where it's people like using cardboard as shin pads, or one kid was like, I'd forgot my shorts and came running out in his boxers instead.
Oh,
and I was just like, what do I do? So I'm just picturing that this'll do, that'll do.
It's never been that bad. It's never been that bad to what you're describing. It's never been to that extent.
Thank God for that. So like when you was breaking through with like PCW, that's they've kind of gone on quite a big journey within British wrestling. When I first started like looking into, I'm trying to work out how old I'd have been around 2021 when I first started looking in Brit Rest, and so about a good 6-7 years ago, they were one of the pinnacle companies, in my opinion. They were, like you mentioned, doing these massive super shows and coming through as a trainee there, and they've always given the local guys opportunity. So what had it been like being around those as you're breaking through when PCW were bringing in such legends?
Well, that's what those super shows are. What attracted me to them in the first place, because I saw that there were shows going around in the Northwest, but I never took the opportunity to be. I used to be like, oh, that looks okay, but I never took that first step to actually go.
Yeah.
Then so to one of the super shows I saw, and I thought, okay, you know what? Let me go and let me see what it's like. So of course I didn't know what to expect because I'd never been to a wrestling show, a live wrestling show ever, and I'm including the companies such as ROH, WWE, and TNA Impact Wrestling. So I'd never been to a live wrestling show. So when I went, I thought, oh, this is good. I thought, oh, this is really good because I got front row tickets as well.
Yeah.
So that's what attracted me to the shows. And then, of course, seeing the imports and all that stuff come over. I know it's been criticized that saying, some of their shows have been strictly depending on imports, but sometimes it's what brings a different crowd in as well, because if someone's not seen, if people are so used to WWE and TNA, if you put a poster up of some of the wrestlers who are local, some people might not know who they are, and it's not because of the fact that the person's not good. It might be a case of where some people are so used to watching WWE and TNA, but then when you put on a poster like, oh, former WWE star, former TNA star is coming to wrestle Preston, it gets your attention, and you're like, oh, I used to watch this person on TV all the time. Oh, they're going to be coming to a show in Preston. I don't live too far from there. Then it attracts you there. And then it gives you the chance to see how other people showcase their skills as well. So like when I was there live, I saw some local guys and girls. I'm thinking, where the hell have I been for so many years? Why have I not come sooner? And then since those moments, it's what's made me go to other shows or the local shows, train as well and travel as well. You know what I mean? So, it's definitely, PCW, of course, has definitely changed over the years because we went from the super shows with the, former TNA stars and legends and stuff, and to some of the veterans, to it being a case of where it's been like we've been put on the main shows.
Yeah.
And of course there is a difference. I can't lie and be like, oh, there's not much of a difference. There is, because of the skill and experience level. I mean, we're not at that stage just yet. Everyone, I guess, of course, starts somewhere at least. But, it'll be curious to see how the shows are, moving forward.
Yeah.
It is what it is, I guess.
No, I think, to be fair, I was speaking to Dean Allmark about it, and he was just singing the praises where they do need the respect they deserve. Yeah, they was doing a lot of the import show, but they was putting people like Noam Dar against Rob Van Dam, Lion,
exactly.
AJ Styles, and it's matches like that that's helping elevate people, like the stuff they did for Trav before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's those shows that puts a showcase on the local guys and girls as well, because it's like I mentioned before, like, when they put on the poster, those guys, the legends are coming over, it brings a new crowd, and then the crowd not only get to see their favorites from back in the day, they get to see the local guys and girls, and then they come back and they'll be like, oh, I've not seen this. This is my first time seeing this person. Oh, he's a bit of a he's a bit of a douchebag, but I like his attitude. I want to come back and see him get his ass kicked. Or if they see like one of the local guys who's a baby face, who's seen as an underdog, it's like, oh, I can relate to that person because they're struggling and this, that, and the other. Oh, they're going to be wrestling next month. Hopefully they'll be able to overcome what they need to. And it attracts that crowd in for them to pay attention to not only PCW shows, but other local shows around their area, because some of the people who wrestle for PCW wrestle at Future Shock, GPW, places up in Scotland, or even places down south, as well. So yeah, it just needs to be a case of where at the time PCW was literally one of the places to be.
Yeah.
So even though a lot's gone on and stuff, you can't deny the matches they put on. You can't deny the work that everyone on the roster, to past and present, you can't deny all the work they put into to put the company. I mean, they raised the bar for British wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can deny that. They did.
No, before ICW Progress, Rev Pro was hitting the heights of where they truly took over as like the main three staples of the British wrestling scene, and then obviously OTT in Ireland, it was PCW. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I always remember, a bit like yourself, I'd never been to a wrestling show before, and my first one was an independent British show, and it was NGW, where a lot of the times I'd seen the post and I was like, yeah, that looks all right. But I went, and it was a few of my mates was like, just come with us. And I always remember walking in, and I was like, okay. And I don't know, I think it was like the anxiety of like, I've loved wrestling all my life, but what if I don't like it in person? So obviously with TV, it's all produced and put together, and you've got the camera shots to make everything look good. And I was like, so I sat there front of the show, and people come out like, see what this is going to be like. And then before I know it, I was like, that was amazing. Like, we had Rampage Brown's return to the independent scene from when he left WWE, and when you've got people like Haskins and Nathan Cruz, Matt Myers on the show, it was just so entertaining. And I was like, wow, that's great. And I'd been going to a couple of those shows. Finally went to that WWE show. And the first company I travelled to was PCW, where I think it might have been Team 3D versus Team Single, Rampage and Titan. And as I went, I just remember saying to one of my friends that I was like, that was better than WWE. I've been wanting to go to WWE all my life. Went to Raw in London. I was like, that was better. The atmosphere, and before I know it, we're making that travel to Preston more often. And because of putting on these massive super shows, you've seen some of your heroes, but then you mix in that with the best of British wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
For somebody like yourself, like you mentioned, you won't lie, it's not where it was before. They've done restructure because obviously putting on those shows costs a lot of money. But despite them not bringing in every single import, they've put on a really good showcase for young wrestlers like yourself. For the NXT Championship tournament in Blackpool was putting on like afternoon shows for people to go watch that, and it was a good platform for against some of the younger guys. And they're still on Sky. They've got certain TV deals.
Yes.
And for that to be happening for people like yourself and a lot of this younger generation, where they've kind of restructured and relied on their academy and stuff like that, you're getting to work TV. You're getting that exposure. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, like working, because for me, I'll be completely honest, it felt like it was much harder for me to get on those main shows. So like since I worked on the main shows, you know, I'm always been appreciative of every opportunity, you know, to showcase and of course to learn. For me, getting onto those main shows, it was harder. It was harder, especially from a training point of view.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't understand what to do in training, but sometimes like just in general, you get different personalities clashing as well and stuff like that. And then, you know, sometimes you get frustrated thinking where, you know, what is the plan for me? And so sometimes you get told, well, we have nothing for you, or we don't know what to do with you. It's kind of like where you're like, okay, well, what else can I do? You know, I'm doing everything I can. I'm spending my time in training as much as I can and stuff. But yeah, getting onto the main shows, it was good. It's been good, you know. Getting that exposure's been good, especially like before the Blackpool and shows, before the tournaments as well. So, you know, it's a great platform and it gives us all a chance to learn how to work in front of like a certain crowd, you know, when it comes to movement, interactions, and just getting that confidence, of course, as well.
Yeah. But before we move on away from like PCW, like what are your goals for PCW, like you personally?
Well, I'm adjusting my seating. Some things need to be ironed out first. Some things kind of need to be settled first.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have certain goals and stuff like that, but some things need to be settled first before I can really work on those goals within that company. At the moment, I couldn't tell you because I don't have any goals there at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. So I say things need to be settled first. Once things are settled, then I'll be able to set some goals for where I want to go in PCW.
What do you mean by settled? Is it just everything that's gone on with British wrestling recently, or?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of that, and it's a mixture of like business stuff as well.
Yeah.
So internal business stuff. Once that stuff like that gets settled, if it gets settled, then that's when I can set some goals. If it doesn't get settled, then there won't be any goals for me to set in PCW.
Yeah. What about yourself within wrestling? Like when we've spoken on social media and chatting and stuff like that, do you see yourself staying in wrestling?
Well, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, I don't see myself in shows this year. I know that for a fact. Next year, I don't really know because it's all about communication. And for me, if I'm not getting told what's going on, so if stuff isn't being communicated to me, then my mindset's going to be like, well, because I'm not being told this, or because nobody has come through with an idea, then for me, I'm like, well, okay, well, if this isn't going to happen because no one's telling me anything, I'd want to wrestle overseas.
Yeah.
And I'm referring to, you know, wrestling at places such as maybe doing stuff maybe in Japan or overseas, other places in Europe, maybe some stuff in America, maybe, you know. And I'm not referring to like being signed and stuff like that. I'm referring to working at independent places. You know what I mean?
So like Mid-South.
What's that?
Mid-South and all the different territories.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, if it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
But yeah, as far as staying in wrestling goes, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I was saying to myself, I was saying to myself, I remember because I remember we spoke about this. I was saying to myself, as far as British wrestling goes, I really do. I was thinking to myself, oh, I really don't want to come back to British wrestling. And for me, it's not just about the speaking. It's not about speaking out, just about speaking out stuff. It's other things as well, like a combination of things. You know, things such as like, you know, I I've seen some places say, "Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this," and then they're falling back into the old patterns. And it's like, well, if you say you're gonna do this in the future and make changes, like stick by it. Don't just say things for the likes, the retweets, the reactions, the shares as well, and stuff like that as well. So I say to myself, you know what? It's not what. I don't think it's working because you know I work outside of wrestling, so I work in a call center dealing with things such as operations as well, working with one of the leading banks. So I spend most of my time working. You know, I work about 37.5 hours. Sometimes I work more hours and stuff as well. And then I've got to do the gym and stuff like that as well. So for me, I have to take time when wrestling was still a thing, when wrestling was still going on. I would have to take time out of work, training to travel to shows and stuff like that as well. Sometimes not even just wrestling, just kind of helping and stuff like that as well. And I don't feel as if like I don't feel as if I'm owed anything. I don't think I don't feel like I'm owed anything. I'd rather work for something. I'd rather get something because I worked my ass off for it, and I do work my ass off for it. You know, so there've been times where I would take time out of work to train at wrestling, take time out of work to wrestle at places as well. You know, there'd be moments where I didn't see my family. I didn't see my mom for ages and ages because I say, oh, I can't make it because I'm doing this regarding wrestling as well and stuff like that. So this kind of break has had given me time to think about things. I spoke with I spoke with a couple of vets over the weekend about stuff, just saying, you know, moving forward, because I told them my concerns. I said, look, I don't really think I want to come back and stuff. So it just gave me feedback saying, you know, if you do decide to stay, this is what you need to do moving forward. This is how you need to operate. This is how you need to conduct yourself and stuff like that as well. So I feel like I need to prove, before I kind of say, you know, I don't want to do this anymore, I feel like I need to prove myself something. I feel I need to prove myself in British wrestling to say, okay, you know what, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. Set myself the goals about, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do moving forward. I'm going to see this more of a business, be a bit more selfish, and kind of put myself, because I sometimes don't feel as if like I put myself forward as much, because sometimes like when I've tried to, it gets turned around like, oh, how dare you put yourself forward and stuff, you know what I mean? So it depends. I mean, of course, I'd like to work shows and stuff as well, but I'm not gonna beg.
Yeah.
In the day, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna brown nose. I'm not gonna get down on my knees and beg and stuff like that as well. So it's whatever opportunities comes next year, and as long as things change, you know what I mean? Like, because there's been lots of stuff that's happened that I feel like a lot of promoters have turned a side eye to. And pretended like it's not existed just because they can't be bothered with the hassle, or because it's one of the boys, yada yada yada, and all that crap. So I do hope some of these promotions that are so adamant in saying we're going to do this, we're going to put safeguard measures, we're going to make sure like there's first aiders and medics on the show. That's a big one. For me. First aiders and medics. That's a big one for me. I mean, most places, concerts, music events have got medics and first aiders on site. Concerts have got it and stuff like that. I think theaters have it as well. And the stuff they're doing is less physical than what we're doing. So what we're doing is really physical. Where we're putting our lives in jeopardy. So why shouldn't there be first aiders and medics there? Why is that not a compulsory thing? You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to trainee shows as well. You know what I mean? Like I never understood that. It feels as if people just want to cut corners when it comes to trainees, which I don't think is good. You know what I mean? Because regardless of what someone's experiences in wrestling is, they're still performing like some of the people who have been doing this for 10 years and stuff like that as well. So their bodies aren't different to yours. The body of a trainee isn't going to say, oh, because I've been doing this for a year, I'm exempt to all injuries. No, they're just as much at risk as everybody else.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to see what happens next year, wrestling-wise anyway.
Yeah, well, I said to you, like, obviously, your happiness is the most important thing, first and foremost.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think British wrestling do need people like yourself, where it is the good people. Like, I get what you mean. Like, even as myself, although I'm not internally involved in British wrestling, I just do the podcasting and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd spoken to a few people thinking, you know what, I don't think I want to. Like, I deleted interviews and stuff because of certain people that I'd spoken to.
Yeah.
One of them being WWE, my only WWE press interview, that's gone, like, because of the person. And I was like, you know what, like, I was out of touch with wrestling. I stopped watching it, and so it was a bit disappointing. Like, I knew personal friends in wrestling that have been subjected to some horrible things, and I was like, is this something I really want to support? And
I'd say like those are the guys, because I've had a couple of people messaging me saying, "Oh, we need people like you, T, and stuff like that." And I'm like, look, I have my flaws. I am not perfect whatsoever. And I don't even class myself as a hero. The ones who I'd probably say are the heroes and all this are those who have been subjected to all the stuff that's happened, and they've still carried on.
Yeah.
Sometimes with a smile on their faces, and you wouldn't even know they'd been through so much. And some of them have even had to work or be in the same room as somebody who has done all that. Like, sometimes if somebody pisses me the hell off really badly, I don't like being in the same room as them. I don't like being in the same room with them, like, at all. I don't even want to be in their presence. But some of these guys and girls have had stuff happen to them, and they've still been in the same room with the alleged accuser and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, those who are doing all of that and carrying on, and who have carried on for so long, those are the real heroes. Those are the ones that people should be looking up to and stuff. Because if the speaking up thing hadn't happened, you probably wouldn't have been able to tell what they'd been going through.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need people like them who have spoken out and who are prepared to carry on wrestling. Those are the people who we need to look up to. People like me just need to try and look out for them a bit more, and just make sure, like, everything that I'm doing, how I'm speaking to somebody, how I'm behaving and all that stuff, just be mindful, you know what I mean? And just be mindful of how I'm conducting myself. And the same, I think we all just need to be mindful of what we say and what we do, because sometimes we might say something, and it might not mean any malicious attack whatsoever, or we might just do something without any malicious intent and stuff like that. But then it could be affecting somebody else, and it's like, oh, okay, my apologies. That wasn't my intention. I won't do it again.
Yeah.
You know? So with the whole speaking out stuff as well, you know, I remember when I remember it was during the weekend, and I couldn't sleep. Oh, I couldn't sleep. I think it was on a Friday night, and I couldn't sleep. I remember just watching it. I was so attached to my phone, looking at all the stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, okay, I need to get some sleep, and I couldn't. I think I tried to sleep for about an hour, and I
Straight back on.
It was bad. I think a lot of us struggled, you know. And I said to myself, I really need to take a break from social media. I didn't end up taking it because I was just so glued in with my phone about all the stuff that happened, you know. And I remember saying, I don't want to be part of wrestling anymore. And I think that was like, I felt that was a bit selfish on my part to kind of just say that at the time, because people were messaging me saying, oh no, you need to stay in wrestling. We need you to stay in wrestling and stuff like that. And I was thinking, no, like, it felt selfish because it came across like I was just saying it and people were reaching out to me. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Do not reach out to me. I don't need reaching out to. Other people who have gone through such ordeals, we need to reach out to them.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that they're okay. We need to make sure that mentally, and I don't even mean reach out to them to make sure they're staying wrestling, reach out to them mentally to make sure that they're okay. that emotionally and physically that they're okay and stuff, because you don't know how they're feeling inside. They might be tweeting saying, "Oh, I'm okay" and stuff. I finally feel better because I've talked about it, but you don't know how they still feel mentally. Maybe speaking out stuff has triggered memories in their head and it's taken them back into a place that they don't want to. They could be heading to into a depression or a mental breakdown. You just don't know. So it's like those are the people who we need to kind of like look out for and pay attention to as well.
Yeah, and I think it had like there's again I won't mention their names, but all the girls that I ended up reaching out to and was like, "Are you okay?" Because I knew they'd be struggling because what they'd been speaking about isn't easy. It's not easy, and then you had some people where off these fucking stupid burner accounts on Twitter because they don't have they don't have the balls essentially to put their name to it.
Yeah.
Like, when they'd be calling them out and stuff like that, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, if you're at least going to act like that, do it off your own account so everybody knows how much of a dick you really are.
Yeah.
It's just
that's one thing about the movement. I think that's what people are going to say. That's probably the thing that I didn't like during that movement was people putting in burner accounts, and then they were saying names. I felt like a lot of them were saying some names for the sake of it, or using it as an excuse to put someone's name in so they get a lot of backlash. So I think, an example, someone might put a burner account saying, "Oh, this person looked at me the wrong way" and stuff like that, and this is how it's affected me and things like that. And then that person who they've mentioned would get like lots of backlash towards them and stuff like that. So I didn't like the fact that burner accounts use the speaking out movement as an excuse to throw people's names in there. Not necessarily throw their names on there because they've done something along the same lines of the alleged abuse. I mean, they've taken one thing they don't like about the person and then used it to make sure they get backlash and stuff. I remember just seeing some stuff. I thought to myself, like, are you posting this because something happened, or are you just posting this because you don't like that person because of something that's not related to what the speaking out movement is about? And it unfortunately takes it away from those who are pouring their hearts out to the world about what they've been through and stuff, because then their stuff, the stuff they're talking about, gets scrutinized and gets questioned. So I definitely feel like a lot of people used it as an excuse. I think a lot of people misused the purpose of the speaking out movement.
Yeah, definitely. But hats off to the likes of like Sierra Loxton and Alexis Falcon and the other like girls who was the main contingent of leading that speaking out movement. I know one of my friends who was a wrestling fan as well.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to anonymously speak about something that she went through from a WWE wrestler at a show, basically just gripping her ass to move her within a crowd because he's trying to get to a match table, and she wasn't comfortable speaking about that, but she wanted it out there, and I was like, right, I'll put you in touch. And I think for what those girls went through, and then to also take on everybody else's experiences and burdens dealing with the police and stuff, I think, like, full respect, that could not have been easy, and the fact that it was getting such media coverage is a testament to how like the great stuff the girls did.
Yeah, some of the guys as well. Some of the male wrestlers as well posted their ordeals as well with the stuff that they've gone through as well. So hats off to both the guys and the girls who posted their stuff. I saw that Bailey and Big E. I think Mickey James tweeted something about the speaking out movement as well.
Yeah,
and it came to a point of where I think both wrestlers, locally and overseas, were of course talking about it as well. So I do hope moving forward, if any of the promotions are saying we're going to do this, that, and the other, I really hope they're saying it because they mean it. They're not saying it they're not saying it. Excuse me, sorry. I hope they're not saying it for show.
Yeah.
And I think because of all that's happened, I feel like a couple of them are probably going to say it for show because they want everyone to be like, oh, this show's going to do this. Let's put our money to this show. let's go to this show, let's retweet and share, make the whole world know this show's doing this, so they can put more money in it, so they can put more money in their pockets from a business point of view. So I know that a couple of promoters I have a feeling are going to do that. If they all follow their word, then I take my words back. But it's a business and people need to survive. You know what I mean? And some people do whatever they need to make sure they do survive. Unfortunately, as sad as it sounds, and it's not just wrestling, it's stuff in and out of it's industries all over, not just wrestling that do that.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason why I was like laughing as well, like when I was speaking to Matt Myers recently and was speaking about the topic, and both mine and his shoot job, we deal with safeguarding and code of conducts because of the nature of our work. And Matt was saying, it was like, some of these where they're posting, here's my code of conduct. It was like, I've seen enough of them to know that's just one of the generic ones you've pulled off the internet. Like, that'll do. They've not sat down and thinking, actually, what do we feel should be the code of conduct? What do we feel the safeguarding should be? It's just, right, let's just get something out because we need to. They've not put the time and effort and thought into
I noticed that. And I do like Matt. Matt Myers is a good guy. He's one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite persons. Sorry. So we're responding to that because in my job as well, in most corporations, because I've worked in lots of corporations. I've worked in a couple of. My jobs have been involved working as a team manager and stuff. And like during my jobs, I've had to do things such as do interviews, do HR meetings, conduct meetings, disciplinaries, welfare meetings, return to works, HR interviews. I've done all of that. And then there's always, there is a code of conduct that things need to be abided by. And when I saw some of these, I kind of had two mindsets. I thought to myself, these points should be something that people know about anyway. So I kind of thought to myself, that's common sense. I also thought with some of them, like, this looks like a template that you've got off Google. Like, this doesn't look as if like this has been something that you've posted officially. It looks like you've just copied and pasted something and then you just posted it just for show. And I'm like, okay, if you say you're going to do this, even though this doesn't look official, like, there you go and stuff. But I also think as well, from also the fans' point of view as well, is that because loads of fans were chiming in about all this stuff as well, about how they felt, and I got exactly where they came from. I said where they're coming from, but I think it's a case of where some of the fans as well, like, I think they need to, because what I did find during that time is like, when some of the wrestlers were speaking out about what they wanted to do in future and stuff like that, and there were some wrestlers who didn't say anything about speaking out stuff. Some of the fans would say, oh, why is this wrestler not responding? Why is this wrestler not talking about it and stuff like that? Why is this company not saying anything right then and there? And it's a case of where, like, it's still quite a shock to a number of people. And some people might not say stuff because they don't know what to say. They could still be in shock about what's happened and stuff like that as well. And I would say to any fans, like, if you don't feel like said promotion is not doing what you think the code of conduct is, then don't attend. Like, don't attend the shows, don't buy the merchandise, don't give them any of your time. Just focus on the promotions that you feel are safe. Focus on the promotions that you feel like, you know what, I can go to this promotion because they've said this, that, and the other. I feel safe. They've given me their word, and just put the energy to those, because the problem is when fans put a lot of their negative energy into the promotions that are not doing what they're supposed to do. It's one of those where that kind of outweighs the good that other places are doing, if that makes sense. So you could have about 6-7 promotions doing everything accordingly, set out an official code of conduct, mention the safeguarding, this and the other, and there could be one promotion that doesn't do anything, that does the complete opposite. And sometimes, like, when the all negative energy is focused on that one promotion, especially on social media, it kind of outweighs all the good that the other 7 promotions have done. And then most people will see is just that one bad promotion. And unfortunately, it doesn't make the others, look good, because people will affiliate them all together.
Yeah, definitely. I remember being criticised because I was supporting one of the new companies that will be coming around, and the person has already been a promoter because of everything that was going on. He got away from Wrestle Talk, and now he started himself, and it's with Wrestle Carnival. And somebody was like, I remember getting criticised where I was like, try and be positive. And the person was like, you're telling me to be positive after everything's gone on. I was like, yeah, because we need to be. And I started getting called out because of that. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this person has experience of promoting. Right, he's starting his own because of he wanted to distance from Wrestle Talk. And then after that, I went, he's spoken to Equity and not just done some cheap templates, spoken to Equity, got them on board. He's working with Wrestle Cares, which is a children's charity for like toy donations, wrestling toy donations and stuff like that for Christmas shoe boxes. And now he's partnered with Blokes, which is a mental health brand for like a forum for people, fans and wrestlers to go talk to. And when you have people like that putting the time and effort into making a safe space, that should be applauded.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because I remember, because I remember speaking to Equity and a few of the wrestlers did. I remember Mark Haskins tweeted something saying along the lines of like, "Oh, he misses wrestling," something along the lines of, this isn't quote for quote, but something along the lines of where like he said, "Oh, I miss wrestling and stuff. I miss kicking people. I kind of wish hoping wrestling goes back to normal." Something along those lines. Yeah. And when I read that, my mind said, "Oh, okay, he missed. He wants wrestling to be back on again, like it was before." The problem was a couple of people misconstrued that, and they said, "Oh, what you mean? Well, you want wrestling to go back to normal to when there was like all these guys and stuff like that?" And then people start twisting it around. I'm like, that's not what he meant. And I feel like the problem is with the stuff that's going on now is like there will be people who will choose to misconstrue an unintentional misunderstanding and then turn it around and then make it seem as if that person was bad for saying what they said. So like when some people were calling out Mark Caskins, I was like, no, that's not what he meant. I even put out a tweet saying, no, this isn't what he meant and stuff, because I was speaking to Mark and a couple of people from Equity and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, and Mark's always been vocal saying how, it's much YouTube, but Mark Haskins has always been vocal and said he hated seeing all of that, all the stuff regarding speaking out. Like he was gutted to see like all the stuff happening in wrestling and stuff, and he definitely wants wrestling to get back into a good place. So you've got someone who wants wrestling to go back into a good place, but because of something that he said, people misconstrued it and turned it around and started calling him out for it. And I think that's one of the things which I kind of thinking to myself, in order for us to get into a good place, like fans especially need to stop misconstruing stuff and twist it around and use this opportunity to call someone else out. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with messaging someone private and just being like, "Oh, this tweet you said this, is this what you meant?" and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with just messaging and just getting clear clarification of it. But I feel like the problem now is like, excuse me, things are getting misconstrued and people are turning it around and using it to call out people.
Yeah.
So with stuff such as that, when people are saying this is what we're doing and stuff like that as well, just ask someone directly what they mean or just ask for a bit more information. Don't turn it around and use the opportunity to call out someone, because the problem is when people see that, other people jump in and they might be like, "Oh yeah, that's what he meant," even though they didn't think that initially. They're just saying it to jump on the bandwagon, to be like, yeah, this is what you meant. How dare you say this? And then other people jump in. And because people are still hurt, rightly so, what's going on, they're using those emotions to trigger their reaction instead of stopping and thinking, what did he mean by that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of it is just like pack mentality as well. I think wrestling gives social media too much power.
Yeah, there is definitely a pack mentality in wrestling. Something that pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like the whole pack mentality in wrestling. It's stupid. It's BS. Most of us are adults. You know what I mean? So like I think because they have this pack mentality as well, it's like, I'll just say an example. Like let's say for example you've got a pack of people, and let's say one person disagrees with one person from that pack, everybody else either jumps in or they'll like the person. So I'll say for example, let's say for example, because I prefer kind of explain things, but let's say for example, if I'm in a pack and I've got about 5 or 6 people by my side, and let's say for example I post something and then you say, oh, T, I don't agree with that. And then I respond to you saying this, that, and the other, and I might say something about you, I might give you crap. 6 or 7 people on my pack will either respond giving you crap, or they'll like the tweet. But
Yeah.
they'll like the tweet that I've said giving you crap, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that I don't like. I'm like, okay, fine, you guys are in the pack, but do you guys all think the same? Do you not have a mind of your own? Or are you just kind of agreeing with the person to brown nose said person, oh, so you can get that booking, or so you can get that rub from your best mate, so they can put you over on social media and stuff. So for me, it's like I've got friends, who don't tweet that much, who barely use social media. So stuff that I will post that will be based on how I'm feeling, and if there's something that I don't agree with, I might even tweet, be like, oh, I don't agree with it and stuff, or I might just keep it to myself. But a lot of people rely on packs, the pack mentality, to get by on social media, and I don't like it. It pisses me off, and I've unfortunately been I don't want to say the victim of it, but I've unfortunately been on the receiving. I've unfortunately been on the receiving end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that pack mentality like on Twitter and Facebook. Part of me kind of thinks it's down to insecurity. Part of me feels like people just want to get on the good side of people just so they can get that booking, or they can get on that person's good side for whatever reason. But yeah, it's something that exists in wrestling, out of wrestling, as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that pack mentality develops over the future.
Yeah, I'd always remembered when I spoke to Wrestle Carnival, and to give it a chance, it's something positive. One of the person that disagreed, all of a sudden, his friends that are always on his tweets was jumping in and was just barking at me essentially, and I was like, I can't be asked with this. And I always remember talking about somebody's change. It was somebody that was adamant of getting to WWE. He almost got there. Certain things stopped it because of health, and then because he was going down a different route, he was getting castrated from it. I was like, well, when he's almost got there, he's had mental health, he's bounced back, and now he's going down. He's seeing wrestling in a different eyes. I went, we should be applauding that, not criticizing him,
Yeah,
just because he's now wearing an independent T-shirt.
yeah,
And the amount of abuse I got from that, because all it took was one wrestler that opposed to it to retweet or quote tweet it, and then before I know it, I remember a few people from Twitter reached out to me, was like, "You okay?" Because that was heavy.
yeah.
I've not even read my notifications, or I'll clear them. I'm not even going to read the messages because it's people that I have no consideration for. It was just loads of people just jumping in about the matter, when it was like, wait, I'm just complimenting somebody for overcoming mental.
Yeah. Sometimes that quote tweet from a high influencer on Twitter, sometimes it sometimes can go along 2 ways. Sometimes if you get someone who's like quite high influencer on social media, if they quote tweet, sometimes it can work out both ways. A, where it can get you like lots of followers and lots of recognition, or B, it can get you lots of hatred and stuff like that as well. And I said, and I think the problem is, I was discussing with somebody the other day, like I always say, like I'm very appreciative of the fans when they buy tickets to shows, when they buy our merchandise, when they support us in any one way or the other.
Yeah.
But wrestlers are still people too. We're entitled to having private lives. We're entitled to have a personal life, and we can do whatever the hell we want within reason, as long as it's like, of course, legal and stuff. There's nothing like, that's as long as it's not exploiting people and stuff like that as well. So if somebody decides to go to one company, or they don't decide to go to one company or do whatever and stuff like that, or if someone's going for something personal and stuff like that, they're entitled to go through that. You know what I mean? And sometimes what kind of annoys you is that if the wrestlers don't do what the fans want, the fans will want a huge explanation. And I said, no, if this person decides to do this or get signed to that company, like why is it your business? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why is it your business that your person has gone through down this route that makes them happy? They're entitled to be happy. You know what I mean? Like it's that wrestler. That wrestler's not doing this for your happiness, they're doing it for their own happiness.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I just sometimes feel as if sometimes the fans can be a bit intrusive, but sometimes it might be a case of where we might need to just keep certain stuff away from social media, maybe. But it's all about those boundaries. All about those boundaries that need to be respected.
Yeah, definitely. So back onto like your career then. I know, was it 2017 you had your WWE tryout?
2017, yeah, November 2017, yes.
How was that experience for you?
I did better than I expected. Because I remember getting the email. When I was working my other job, I was we had to travel. We traveled to London. And I remember being in my hotel. I got a pizza and I got a kebab, and I had like a kind of fizzy drink. And then I remember just getting an email, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I messaged a couple of the WWE guys, and I was like, "Is this legit?" And they said, "Yes, legit." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is really good." And then I had my takeaway in my hand. I'm like, "Okay, I've got to ditch this." For a while, I started training like crazy. We did training sessions before wrestling training, so like some core stuff and some ab stuff and things like that as well. So I remember pushing myself like mad. So going in there, I kind of had these expectations. I went in there with no expectations at all. I kind of think it's something better that way, because that way, if you go in there and think, "Oh my god, this is going to be really, really easy. I'm going to smash it," and then if you don't, it's like,
Yeah.
you know. But I didn't have any expectations into it at all, because I never thought that I'd ever be in that situation. Well, I didn't. So that was really surreal. I got to see some of the coaches, some of the roster backstage, and just being in that environment was really good. I mean, the intake I was in, I was really appreciative of the intake I was with, because the other guys and girls that were there, everyone was just pushing each other and really supporting each other as well. So like, yes, people are in, you know, you kind of have this, you want to get, of course, the attention for yourself. And of course, if you want to probably get that contract, if that's your long-term goal, to be like, okay, I want to get signed and stuff. But everybody went in there pushing and supporting each other.
Yeah.
So it was a good tryout, and I'm definitely appreciative of the group I was with as well.
Did you get any sort of feedback afterwards?
It's just to train more and just get more experience, you know. So, you know, like I said, if nothing happens in the future with me and the WWE, you know, I'm always really appreciative for that try. At least I can say, you know what, I had a tryout. I got to learn a lot. I got to perform in front of the WWE execs.
Yeah.
That's something I can say that I've done.
Yeah.
And I was the first person from my training academy to actually get a tryout as well.
Oh, that's incredible.
So at least I can always say that.
No, that's brilliant. That. Like hopefully with NXT UK now doing more stuff, it can open like more doors. With you saying earlier that people have said we just don't know what to do with you. He's 7 foot. What? Where? How much? Sorry, how much do you weigh around?
Probably 23, 24 stone. I think
You're an absolute
lot.
You're an absolute giant.
A lot.
And if they can't do anything with you, then.
But here's the thing. You know, it's like, of course, there's stuff that I've always looked at and say, okay, this is what I need to work on and stuff as well. But you look at independent wrestling in general. So this is going to be before COVID has happened. There aren't a lot of big guys or girls who get used a lot on the main shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the big, if you want to say like the big guy, you know, you've got, you know, people such as Warren Banks, you've got Roy Johnson, you've got Kenny Kilbane. I'm just trying to think. You've got Aisha Raymond. I'm just trying to think of other big guys and girls on the wrestling scene. It's gonna be bad because I know quite a few, but those are the ones I can think of on the top of my head. You know, you don't see many people, big guys and girls on the constant independent shows. You know what I mean? So like, in my personal opinion, how I kind of see it is that at the moment when it comes to independent shows, there's sometimes like a bit of a niche, and it's not for the big, massive heavyweights all the time. Even guys such as Justin Reed. Justin usually wrestles down south and stuff like that as well. And he did some stuff for ICW, but you don't see him like all over at the big main places a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like some independent places, most places, they're just happy to have a certain style, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they probably want strong style, you know, someone to copy Japanese wrestling, and they high flying stuff. Some places are just happy with just those styles, and that's it. You know what I mean? So I sometimes feel to myself, a lot of the independent places don't really make room for like a lot of the big guys. Like I remember when Walter, before he got signed, lots of places were using Walter a lot. The same with Keith Lee. Lots of places were using Keith Lee. I always think to myself, we have big guys on the UK circuit. Why aren't places using the bigger wrestlers on their shows as much as they're using guys such as Walter and Keith Lee and stuff like that as well? So, you know, in my opinion, there's always feels like on independent wrestling, there's not a lot of room for, well, especially for people who are close to my size, because there's sometimes I've been brought into places and they're like, okay, great job, Tosan, thank you, great. Well, I've just dropped my real name, but it's all good. They're like, oh, great job, and I'm like, thanks. I'm like, they're like, oh, thanks for your services. Bye. I'm like, oh, okay, is that it? As long as I'm back all the way down to square one, I'm like, okay, I'm starting again, you know. So that's the excuse that I've been told. Sometimes I just get brought in just for like a throw. Like I remember saying to a promoter once, they brought me on a show, and they said the match was fine. They said oh yeah, the match was good. And I said, okay, have you got anything for me in future? And they said, oh no, we just had to use you for a throwaway match. I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, I don't. You probably shouldn't have told me that. You probably should have said, oh, we don't have anything for you at the moment, and kept it at that. I'm like, that's great. So
throwaway match is disrespectful as hell.
Yeah, and they said it to me, and I thought, okay, thank you for thank you for letting me know my worth. Yeah,
you need to do a meme on that.
What's that?
You need to do a meme on that.
Yeah, I probably might. I probably might just do more wrestling. I probably should do wrestling memes, maybe. But there's places like All Star, for example. So All Star has been really instrumental in my career. You know, Dean Allmark, who's also one of my trainers, and who I miss as a trainer. He actually helped me get onto All Star wrestling, which always be instrumental in my career because I learned so much. You know, so because there's moments where excuse me, sorry, that I put a lot of pressure on myself, but then All Star, it helps you to take that pressure off, but you get to learn a hell of a lot. So I remember doing the camps. I was able to get the time off work for about over a month. And I did the camps, it was hard for me to get that time off. But I remember just in the camps for about a month or so, and I learned so much from there.
When was this?
This was back in the summer 2018.
Yeah.
So we did shows down south, did shows in Wales, and also did shows around the Northwest as well. So, it was good because there was never this conversation of, oh, we don't have anything for you. You know what I mean? It's like Brian Dixon, like, you remember when he met me for the first time, he was like,
you're a big guy, aren't you?
He was like, oh, you're a big fucker, aren't you? You know what I mean? But then he'd always tell me the expectations that he's got of me and stuff. And he made me feel as if like I'm quite valued, saying, this is what your value is and stuff like that. So he made me feel very valued. Like he's done his shows for I think it's been probably 50 years. I think All Star's been around for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to be part of that type of shows, like he always made me feel what my worth was. The same with Mal Mason, God rest his soul. Like when I met Mal Mason for the first time, I remember he also gave me so many tips, was so helpful to me. Always told me my value was. I remember he told me lots of the wrestlers before they were signed how they did camps. So Adam Cole, Neidhart, and Daniel Bryan. He told me about the stories that he had when he met them and when they did the camps before they were signed as well and stuff. So I would say also it's definitely one place that I'd want to go back to wrestling wise. In their situation, I don't know how they do it because it's mainly they do it at like family shows, you know what I mean, as well. So given the circumstances, I don't know how they do it, but I feel like if I had the opportunity to work with them again, I would definitely be like, absolutely. I'd say I'd be like, yes, absolutely.
What are some of the other places you've enjoyed working? Because I do remember seeing you, firstly part of Ring Crew, and then getting in the ring on the occasions with Progress. You was at Hello Wembley in the Rumble. What was that experience like being at Wembley?
It was surreal. Because I remember when they first advertised Wembley, I thought, oh, that's really good. But I never pictured myself. I never thought I'd be involved in all of that. Yeah. So when I got asked to do it, I was like, yes. You know what I mean? And it's funny enough because this was just around about when I was finishing doing the camps as well. So when I got to do it, I was really over the moon about it. I remember getting there, and then the owners were like, yep, take it all in. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it was surreal. It's definitely a moment that I enjoyed because it's like I think that's the first independent show to be hosted at Wembley, I think, unless I'm wrong. So I feel like I'm part of history. So that was good. That was really surreal. I've enjoyed working at most places. So of course I have enjoyed doing stuff at PCW, Progress, Future Shock, All Star Wrestling, Riptide. Where else? Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. Yeah. I love being at Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. That's if you've not heard of it, it's based in like the Leighton Buzzard. Okay. So they do shows, but their shows are for charity. Yeah. So they have storylines and they have really good wrestlers on there. It's just like what happens is that what they make from the shows, they donate it to different charities as well, which is really good. So yeah, Sacrifice Pro. Even if I'm not wrestling there, I've always enjoyed being there. Yeah. Hope Wrestling, and yeah, most places I've enjoyed working, wrestling wise. There might be some stuff backstage, politics wise. I might be like, I don't really agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, if there was a chance for me to work up for someone like All Star again, I would definitely jump at the idea and say, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Who was some of your favourites you shared the ring with All Star?
I'd say Dino Mark and James Mason. Those are the two top ones because working with them really helped me break out of my shell. Yeah. It helped me come out of my shell a bit more, and it helped me establish what my skills and capability, what my capability is as well. So I definitely say working with those two, because they've been around for so long. You know what I mean? James Mason's been doing this, I think, for about 25 years. Yeah. As well. So I remember watching his stuff from when he started to now, and it's like, geez, he still moves around very, 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 very well. The same with Dean as well.
Yeah, Dean's this was his 20th year, which bit of a shame of a year to have your 20th year anniversary.
Yeah, we just
about that. So we'll put that on pause, and his 21st year can be treated like his 20th. But it's funny, like he'll probably laugh when I end up messaging him about it because every podcast I seem to do, Dean Allmark's name gets mentioned.
Yeah, I mean that's a real testament to who he is because he has been doing this for so long, but he's always willing to help people. Yeah, especially like anyone who's been in his training sessions will back up the statement because training wise, he's always there to help other people. Always wants to help other people get better, and he brings you out of your show and he helps you do things that you didn't think you were capable of doing as well. Like I remember I did a couple of nip ups in this session, and I had no idea I could do it. So it's a real testament to he's one of the people who versatile to work at any different type of crowd, types of crowd. So I definitely think when this whole thing is over, he should be one of the people that should be used at more places.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think it was one of my interviews where it was based in France, and they was like, "Oh yeah, I came over to the UK and trained with Dean Ormark." And same with Scandinavia, where it's either they've trained with Dean Ormark or they want to come to the UK to train with Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I try and look for Dean Ormark matches online, and I'm just like every time without fail, somehow Dean Ormark just gets mentioned, and it definitely is a testament to himself. And I think working people like James Mason and Dean Ormark on the All-Star camps, you can't help but get better.
Exactly.
So when you are looking back, like obviously you try out with WWE, you looking for All-Star, the Hello Wembley, they're obviously three of your biggest moments, but what other proud moments have you got, or some of your favourite matches when you look back?
Trying to think. I'm happy with a lot of stuff that I've done. I want to do more because I'm not satisfied. And I just want to make this clear, in case people think I'm not appreciative. I'm appreciative of what I've done, but I'm not satisfied. Like I want to do more. So I would say like most of my matches, I'm happy with because it's a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
So like if I have a match and it doesn't get a "this is awesome" or "holy shit" chant, it doesn't matter to me because at least I may have been able to take something away from that match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if the promoter's been happy enough, if I've been able to like make someone happy, at least someone in the crowd, then that's all I can do. But it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint and say what other favorite moments are because whenever I've had a match and something, regardless of the duration, there's always been something that I've been able to take away from that. I'd probably say I probably had one of the moments I'd probably say, if I can think off the top of my head, it was when I faced one of the wrestlers called Rusty Rascal, who's based in Blackpool. We did a show in his hometown. We had about 2 matches beforehand, but the final match that we had was main event in the Blackpool Tower show. And that was literally it was on a Friday, I think it was on a Friday, I think that was. And then that was the weekend before we went into lockdown. So that was my second to last match I had before my second to last final match. And I remember that we main evented that, and it was a good moment for me because it got the reaction it's not only to get such a good reaction. I know I said it doesn't matter to me as much, but it was good to get that reaction. But because we told a story in that match as well, and I felt satisfied the fact that I was able to main event a match and close the show off as well. So I definitely say that's one of my favorite matches. But I've still got quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope like with All Star those opportunities come around, and again, there's clearly so much more for you to do in professional wrestling. So hopefully the changes that need to happen do happen for yourself, but for everybody else that's been a victim of everything that's been going on. And first off, I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's been a lot of fun. Like I'm curious. We're around like the hour 18-minute mark at the moment, and I'm like, we could keep on going and going and going and going. There's so much more we can talk about, which is always good, and we'll definitely have to do it again. But thank you for the show, man.
That's all good. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they see these big T memes?
I mainly post them. I post them on my personal Facebook, which I'm probably gonna need to get because I've got so many friends, and I probably need to get a new Facebook. But I post it on Instagram and I also post on Twitter. So both of my Twitter and Instagram is Big T Justice 1, all one word. So you can find me on there.
Fantastic. And all the best like going forward in the future, and I look forward to the wrestling memes that need to come about. I think it'd be so good. Just some things that you've gone through, just like put it on there, and you'll see people's asses twitch a little bit where they're like, "Is that even at me?"
Yeah, but to be fair, I probably might get a message saying, "Who was that about?" And it probably might cost me some work, but meh. Oh well.
Nah, thank you, man. So everybody, make sure you do go check out Big T Justice on all social media platforms. Have a look at his memes, especially when most days can be crap with everything that's going on in the world with the pandemic. They do. It's a good laugh, especially if you're just scrolling through all the different memes there. So make sure you go follow. Try and support where you can. And was it Sacrifice Pro Wrestling you mentioned with a charity?
Yeah, Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. They're based in they're based like down south, so Leighton Buzzard area and stuff. So like with their shows, whenever they've done a show, their proceeds go. They send their proceeds to like different charities.
Brilliant. So I'm going to go check those out. Make sure you check them out as well. Hit like on this one. Hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Friday morning.